Welcome to the Comedy Here Often podcast. I'm your host, Kevvy. With me, as always, is Young Alexi. This week on the show, we have comedian Alex Sparling.
Yes, okay. All right.
Hey!
Hi, guys.
We did it!
We finally did it.
That was so dramatic.
I know. What a start.
Yeah, Zoom was really unhelpful today.
Well, you know what it is? It's 2020. You know? Everything's a nightmare. Everything sucks. But we'll figure it out together.
Remember how excited everyone was to start this year? Remember that? Everyone was saying it was going to be their year.
It wasn't anyone's year.
I want to say, let's not say that about 2021 because I think that will jinx it. I've become very superstitious recently.
I agree with you too, man. I've been wearing the same socks for the whole year. I'm like, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better.
Suspicious. Yeah.
I've been growing up my beard.
Yeah.
You know what? I get it. Fun joke. I can't grow a beard to save my life. And as a bartender now, I've found that to be one of the most crucial things in order to making tips, which is what makes the face mask really nice is that nobody knows I don't have a 13-year-old beard.
Wow. Wait a second. So having a beard makes people tip you?
Look, I know you've lived a long life of being an attractive dude, but when you're bald and have half a face, a beard goes a long way. Especially without the beard, I either look, depending on how I'm dressed, I either look 13 or total skinhead, and it's a thing I can't have in my life.
Alex, I think you're a beautiful man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But I know what it looks like.
Congratulations on the new bar. This is so exciting.
Thanks, man. It's beyond cool.
Yeah.
What bar is this?
I've been talking about doing that for a while.
Yeah, I've been talking about. Sorry, Alexi. I bought into a bar. Do you remember 8.5? On 8 and 8.
It was like a comedy venue and restaurant.
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
Well, it was a comedy. It was a restaurant until I started running a super dope Monday night comedy show, and then it turned into a bit more of a Monday night comedy venue.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sick.
Yeah.
So and so I bought into it with the old owner of 8.5, and like you said, Kevvy, I've been playing around with this idea for. I've been thinking about this thing for like the last 5 years, and then started kind of getting vocal with it about the last 1.5 years, and then went to school for it about almost a year ago now, which turned into a total scam. Because the best way to learn how to run a bar is to just fucking do it. And so I was managing 8.5 right before COVID hit. And then we just didn't really have a takeout culture ever. And so we were looking for something else. And I pitched to Mike, the idea and the concept that I've been flirting with for years. And he said, let's go for it. And so I bought in, and we've been doing that.
That's so
It's been cool.
That is so cool.
And you can like I sent him a bunch of local music for like a playlist so he can just play like local punk bands and stuff. And that's awesome. And then I told all the bands, now they're like, well, we want to go there. And so it's just going to be a really cool hang.
Well, and it's been, and thanks again for that, man. Like,
I love that.
It's been so much fun because my idea behind it, the idea behind the whole spot was we would do it as a collective to begin with, right? Like, first of all, I found a new term. It's my new favorite term in the world. I am a disaster capitalist, and which is also a great name for a cocktail. Wait for that on the menu because it's happening. But within that, I got a chance to. There's 3 chefs that I've worked with over the last 10 years of cooking in Vancouver who I just not just adore as people, but I respect on such a massive level as far as culinary goes. And so I got to lock the three of them down because there was nothing going on. And so we spent, like, they were all guys that I had cooked with before professionally, but then also just all of it, like, just at home, all getting together. Chef Devin Alexander, who's also an amazing comic and music producer in town. He's very quietly one of the best chefs working right now. It's because he just has his focus on music and comedy. But he and I have played around a bunch of times. It's been great. And so I brought him in, and then Chef Thomas Chelka, who was the original head chef at 8.5, who brought me in 10 years ago. I actually, when we were renovating, I found the original resume that I dropped off here.
No way.
Oh my God.
So cool.
That's pretty cute. But he was a private caterer. He was going to help open the new Twisted Fork in Gastown before everything happened. He's an amazing chef with just like, nobody runs a line like that guy knows how to.
Yeah.
And he has a massive amount of respect for everybody involved.
Yeah.
And then Chef Trevor Walsh, who helped open a bunch of local favorites. I don't know if you remember Timber.
Yeah, I do.
On Commercial. Yeah, he was the chef that helped open that. Gargoyles, the Manchester Pub. But he's been a Donnelly chef for the last 10 years. And so I kind of pitched this idea to them, and they were all into it. And we spent like the first 3 weeks of COVID building a menu over Facebook Live together.
No way.
Wow.
That's so cool.
Which is really interesting. But it's not like we don't have an enormous amount of respect for the places that we've all worked at in the last 10 years, because we do, but there's always pockets being a chef any level of this business where you just feel like you're doing it for somebody else, and all the hard work you put in, you never get to see the comeback on it. And so we decided to collaborate and build this together as a menu in a restaurant with the kitchen first, right? And all of them are also owners as well, because we're doing it for ourselves.
Wow.
It's been working really well in that, like, it just kills me because it was such an easy concept, but such an easy sell. Who knew if you let good people be the best they can possibly be and pay them accordingly for it? Holy fuck, the shit they come up with is amazing. And it's just been working. And we're slowly building out the front of house as well. Like Robin Timms is my AGM. She was the manager at Blarney Stone for years. She is such a wealth of front of house knowledge, is one of the best bartenders I know. And so we brought her in to start building out the restaurant. And then another woman named Adriana, who used to work here, who's building our entire cocktail list. But as a collaborative, her cocktail list is hers. And so we have Side Hustle Sandwiches, which is the menu, but all of our drinks are through Curbside Cocktails. Like, it's still under her brand, and she's still getting that personal recognition. And so within those same easy concepts that worked, that's where the music came from, where, like, I mean, I have been loosely in touch with the music scene here since I've been here, with having friends in bands and, getting to know guys like you, Kevvy.
Yeah.
But it would just made so much sense to me to, instead of playing a top 40 list that everybody else is, right? Like your Carrie Underwoods and I don't listen to music. I don't know. But I just figured it would just be smarter and still work to just showcase local music all day. And the thing that's blown me away is how good it all is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Honestly, we have so much talent here, and like I really appreciate that. It's kind of like a boutique thing that you're doing, where like everyone is bringing their own unique talents and getting the credit for it, rather than it being a collective and being, some nameless, faceless entity that kind of controls it all. It's you guys all bringing things and being recognized as people for it. That's really cool.
Yeah,
well, completely. And we're making a point to showcase all of the local providers we're getting as well.
Yeah.
Right. We're getting our sausages and our cured meats from like a 6th generation German family that's been making sausages just a block away, called the Original Sausage House. We're getting all of our other proteins through inner city packers, which are like their farms are right in Richmond or in the Valley.
Wow.
There's just such a plethora of different folks. Like, we're getting our hand sanitizer from Resurrection Spirits in town.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Very grassroots. It's really cool. It's I actually didn't know that you were a chef, Alex. And by the way, Alexi is a chef also. And
no way.
Yeah.
That just
they kind of go hand in hand.
Oh,
yeah, honestly. Yeah, like before I did music seriously, I used to work at Federico's and
cool.
And Cafe Roma before it became Silver Soda.
That's really cool. So, Alex, are you going to start doing stand-up shows there when you can?
Yeah. I mean, one part is that I kind of hate stand-up now, but no, I just...
Really?
But no, it's not that I hate stand-up, but actually walking away from it. Yeah. I can't help but still write like stupid little jokes that nobody likes. So...
what are you talking about?
Oh, well, just to be fair, the last joke I wrote was, could you imagine being a career bouncer for the last decade only to be replaced by a sneeze guard? It's horrible. It's horrible. It's a fun tweet. but that's it, though. But that's it. And so, we're looking at, we'll bring comedy back because we can't not, especially with Devin and I. And I really didn't want to quite get, there's a lot more performing arts that I want to showcase, which I'll mention later. But like, Devin pitched, who I ran 8.5 Inches of Comedy with for like almost 5 years. Devin pitched calling the show Slide Whistle Comedy. And I love that. Especially doing like if the light was just a slide whistle, like, did you want your whistle at 1 or 2 minutes kind of thing. It's just super fun for me. Yeah, exactly.
How perfect is that?
So guess who headlines our first show, Kevvy? Well done. But yeah, we'll do stand up. But then the other side of that, as far as like still furthering the community, is one of the last nights we did with 8.5 when I was still managing it was a variety show put on by they're the Main Street Players, I want to say. I can't keep promoting this whole scene if I can't remember every single name. I feel like a monster, but it's just so good and there's so many. But we did a variety show with like some improv. We had a ventriloquist, some drag, some cabaret players. And one of the things that immediately popped out to me and took me back to when I moved down here to do acting was that there's nowhere to play. Like, as much as I was annoyed with, where the scene here was at, as far as like rooms falling to the wayside and falling apart, and especially losing good rooms. We got really lucky with stand-up. Like, it was real grassroots, but there was a lot of room to play. But for most performing arts, unless you're invited to get to do a movie or, play the theater like Queen Elizabeth or whatever, there's no middle ground. There's no in between.
For sure.
And to be able to open our doors to, as a mid-scale venue for amateurs.
Oh no.
That mother just called. I apologize.
Okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
Let's find out the real Alex.
So with that, let me just kill my audio. I apologize.
She had a slide whistle too.
That's I'll change my ringtone to a slide whistle. Is probably the smartest move.
Alex, I just remembered something great that happened. The last time I saw you do stand up was when it was the Yuck Yucks party for the compilation that I produced, and Alexi, it was great. The mic, something happened with the mic, and so it was right when Alex went on. So he just yelled his whole set with no microphone while me and Sam Tonning figured it out. It was like the great thing is that it was like no different than how he usually performs anyway.
Yeah.
except for the quiet build up.
Oh yeah.
He did the scream for the pop was just like it never mattered.
Who needs dynamics anyway?
Exactly.
That was great. You saved that show. That was so crazy.
Thank you.
And he did like a long set of yelling too. It was like 25 minutes or something while everyone figured out what happened. It was so weird.
Sometimes you got to fall on a sword for the team, you know?
That sounds like some kind of hockey term, and I know you're a big hockey person. So I'm assuming that's what that is. Are you going to be showing sports and stuff at your place?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting because we're in Mount Pleasant, which is what I love about this neighborhood so much is it's really it's community driven and it's incredibly artistic, and we're going to get to showcase that community when we do the performances. Having said that, I am a massive Jets fan.
Mm-hmm.
I finally recently snuck in a Jets tattoo.
Oh, nice.
No way.
Real subtle, but it's just it's a Canada goose with a broken wing, and the jetpack he's riding says Jets. It's real subtle.
Oh, I love that.
I want to know, because it's funny because you're such a nice dude that sometimes I'll notice with really nice people who are big sports fans, like they'll still talk crazy shit, and that's like the only time they're mean ever. You know what I mean? Are you like that? Are you like trash talker?
Kevvy, my friend, all is fair in love, war, and hockey has always been my attitude. And that was my favorite thing about like being a Jets fan in BC was going to Canucks bars and alone. It was always my favorite to go alone in like full jersey and makeup and just
makeup. Wow.
And yell at people when the Canucks weren't playing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, but because I feel like that's one thing that Vancouver's just always lacked is like an engaging sports scene, depending on what you're watching, right?
Okay.
And there used to be some like Fat Sports in Yaletown. That was such an amazing hub, and I watched my first Jets playoffs there, you know, and like put my head down when Winnipeg lost. Started crying a little bit, lifted my head up, and Jess, the bartender, immediately had dropped a double shot of Jameson there. I was like, I did, you know what I mean? But that's the environment where I used to get annoyed is like watching a hockey game at what should be a sports bar and being told to keep it down. Never made sense to me.
Yeah.
And so with one of the things that's really interesting about that question is, one is we have first of all, it was one of the most fun professional meetings I've ever had as one of our early ownership meetings. Once we started going here was having to, bring up, hey, as a bar, who is our allegiance to, and my co-owner and Devin, my co-owner, Mike Weeb, and Devin as well, kind of just like laughing, like, well, we'll see when we get there. Like, no, very, very fucking seriously. This is going to be a Jets bar, but it's not. And I think what we're going to do with it, it's really fun, is being that we're all a collective and have our own allegiances. We're talking about putting a small, like at least taking a small portion of the wall to showcase all of our own affiliations. So Winnipeg, Calgary, Vancouver, and Colorado. Okay. And quite honestly, I can't think of a better package of teams. So just like more rad to go watch. But then it's also, I don't know if you guys have been following much hockey, but we're going to get the Stanley Cup playoffs in August.
Oh, that's happening.
Oh yeah, which is going to be the most exciting thing. And so with everything opening up, we're going to be able to extend our patio and be showing, I'm hoping we can show hockey games outdoors.
Oh, that
Like on the
that's
patio?
cool.
Oh,
That's
that'd be
so
so
fun.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like as far as like we're not a sports bar, but I want to be a bit of an everything bar, right?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
I want to do like playoff hockey Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday do a drag brunch, and on Tuesday a amateur cabaret show.
Awesome.
Oh my God.
Like bring the whole community in and be more of a hub, and like I think
Yeah.
that's one thing that like restaurants and bars have been kind of lacking a little bit, and I think COVID was really helpful with resetting that. Was
Yeah.
these are community hubs, and they should be. For something as simple as like since I was a kid, it's a real foreshadowing on my alcoholism. But since I was a kid, I always wanted to be a regular at a bar. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world to walk into a business, to walk into a space, and just like, hey, by name, and then just like,
Yeah.
do you want your regular light beer and a shot of Jameson? More than anything in the world, thank you.
I love that you're a shots guy. You're like the only guy. Every time I see you, you're like, Kevvy, shots, and then it's like, that's your greeting. That's like bonding. I like that.
Yeah, and I feel bad too because not everybody is, And then and the amount of people in my life that have pulled me aside have been like, I love hanging out, dude, but if you offer me a shot, I'm gonna take it, and I just can't anymore. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not gonna be an enabler. I just like having fun.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting loaded. There's a reason I'm drinking light beer.
Yeah.
Mm.
Kind of, yeah.
That's great. I want to hear more about you being a loudmouth Winnipeg fan in Canucks bars. Has there been conflict?
In Canucks bars?
Just anywhere where you're not surrounded by Jets fans.
Well, but that's the thing is like, I don't think which is my entire life is not being surrounded by Jets fans. Like I get to go to Winnipeg. I get to go to Winnipeg once a year. I go for my little cousin's birthday every year. And so we end up going to the hockey game always. Because I'm not going to Winnipeg and not going to a game. But it's always so weird going to Winnipeg and not being the enemy. Like the first time I went to a Jets bar or to a Jets game, I didn't have anybody to yell at. We were all family. It took a lot. It took a lot
for this. No one's mad at me.
Yeah, exactly. But as far as like at bars go, like I've never had any altercation because I've always found like there's a real art in chirping. In that, in that there's some simple rules. Don't make it personal and don't swear.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So I just go on facts. I just go on numbers.
Yeah.
And you toss those back and forth and play by play. Like that's like yelling at a bunch of guys who are all wearing jerseys of guys who are playing in the AHL. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They got set down because they suck. You know what I mean? Or just like few chirps like Burroughs is a racist because he is, and you know that. So like numbers, just going on facts. But like I've always found like there's people who want that atmosphere, right? And it just becomes getting those guys more into it, right? And getting involved and like, you start chirping and you start yelling a bit more and people get into it, but then going over to the table, they're like, hey, how's it going? You guys want to put a shot or a beer on the next goal? You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. You build that atmosphere.
Yeah. Alexi, we should call the episode The Art of Chirping, by the way.
The Art of Chirping?
Yeah.
Love it. Okay.
Don't hate it.
I
want more chirping advice.
Yeah, me too.
Just like if you're, it's just capitalizing on all the little rumors and everything that you've heard that everybody else heard. Like Jake Virtanen, who I just not a big fan of. He's one of the Canucks younger kids, real hotshot idiot dude. And he's from I believe he's from Abbotsford. I think he still lives in Abbotsford, but he just the last 2 days or 2 days ago recorded himself driving, like was fully like, check it out, I'm driving in all my hockey gear. Haven't done this since Pee Wee. and then shoot, realized what he did, back and then put the phone back on, and then posted it, and then 15 minutes later realized you can't post that because it's very illegal in BC to drive distracted. That's a $385 fine. And the best part is the cops don't have to catch you doing it. All they have to see is video evidence of you doing it, which you did yourself.
Oh my God.
So, just little things like being able to go to a game and like 385, 385, and he'll know.
You ever had a player react to you?
Oh, I've had a couple look at me. For sure. There was a big rumor, which is completely true. I've been on other podcasts mentioning this because it's a thing I never want to die. But there was a lot of rumors that the reason Ryan Kessler left is because he slept with everybody else's wives. Yeah, and so going to a hockey game and again, Rogers Arena, not so much this season because the Canucks have actually been a lot of fun to watch, but in the past it's been a real graveyard in there. And so I can yell and I know you'll hear me on the ice, which is Kessler slept with all your wives. Kessler slept with all. And I've had a couple people turn around.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's so much fun.
I love these rumors. This is great.
I want to learn more about hockey just so I can do that part. I feel like if you're a baseball fan, Chirper, it'd be good because it's just so quiet during the game most of the time. Like no one's watching, I feel like.
Yeah, they'll hear you.
9 straight hours once a week. You run out of material. That's a 9-hour set as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, that's true. I like the idea of you at home before a game writing your material.
And I have. You always want to go in prepared, man. You always want to go in prepared. Know those numbers off the back of your head. One of my favorite moments was I had a guy, I'd snuck down to the lower bowl with a buddy. There's we're just, again, all facts, hitting people with numbers. And then looking at the people in the actual lower bowl, because I can only afford the nosebleeds. And then so you sneak down to the one level lower, but then seeing people leave within 10 minutes left in the first period because Winnipeg just blew you out and just sitting there just going, where are you going? Where are you going? There's 10 minutes left. Those are $700 seats. What are you doing? Here's my email address. Forward those tickets to me. I'll take advantage of it. You know what I mean? And then having a guy just the most stereotypical Vancouver granola old dude tapping me on the shoulder and coming back at me with old Jets numbers, but he has his phone in his hand, and so I let him finish. I go, did you just have to Google that information? I'm like, dude, if you had to Google it, you don't care. Go sit somewhere else. The lower bowl's empty.
Oh, I love this. I
think it's so much fun. It's just so much more fun.
That's if you've ever been to a WWE event, that's all it is. It's so much different live than how it is on TV. And I've sat in the very front a few times, and it's just the crowd versus the wrestlers. It's the whole point is chirping, and it's so.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah. And I've always wanted to go to a WWE event just for that exact same reason. Even just to sit in the front and the whole time just yell, what? 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 And just I would love for one wrestler to turn around like, Stone Cold's not here. He hasn't been here for years.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a long time ago. That was 2 decades ago.
I'm
still into it. It's Austin 316. Alex, do you remember the first time you ever got drunk?
Oh.
This is going to be good. I feel like.
Yeah.
I don't. You know what? I can't. I can't remember the first time I got. Not so much as far as a good story goes. I can't remember the first time I got drunk because, any good Northern Canadian kid who starts to drink, I'm blacked out. But what I can tell you is my first night of legal drinking. Mm-hmm. I went to I went to a bar in Yellowknife that was called the Coyote Ugly on my 19th birthday, and one of my best friends had his birthday a couple days before me, and so we went to the bar and knew nothing about shots or what to do we didn't know what to do at a bar. So obviously, like still in perfect Yellowknife fashion, we pre-drank far more than we should have before we went to the bar. When a beer's $14, you gotta. Yeah. And we got to the bar, and the both of us are just clearly we should not have been allowed in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we get in there, and we were like, we should do a shot, but neither of us know what we should do for a shot. But both of us, just being big movie and TV fans, my buddy looks at the bartender and goes, 2 fuzzy navels. So we did those. We're like, that's good. That's a real good navel. But we should do something else. And then I remember ordering a tequila shot. Mm-hmm. And then I remember being thrown out of the bar.
Oh no!
But it's still a thing that has stuck with me my entire life, where I will wake up with and I still do it. Like, I'll wake up on a big night and just assume I did something wrong at the bar.
Yeah.
And so I went down to and I never do. Like, I'm just not that guy.
Yeah.
I never do. Like, I'll go down, like, did I walk out to this? And you know what I mean? And you go down there like, nah, but you did tip us like an aggressive amount. And it felt really creepy for the server. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, it was just an apology. I'm sorry. Yeah. But I remember going back to Coyote Ugly the next day at like an aggressively early hour. So nobody was there, like 4 or 5 p.m. Yeah. And talking to the bouncer. And I'm like, hey, man, I was here last night. He's like, no, I know. And I just like, did I do something wrong? Like, you kicked me out. I remember that. He's like, yeah, man, you ordered a shot of tequila and then halfway through it threw up all over the bar.
Oh no!
It's still just like, can I come in and clean it up? And he's just like, dude, I cleaned it up. Like, it's already cleaned up. I'm so should I tip? I don't know how this works.
Yeah. Oh man, I remember my old punk band, we went to the Canby once, and the bass player in my band always threw up when we drink, and he drank like all the time. And I remember we were at the bar in the Canby, and we were talking to these girls, and he knew he was going to throw up, so he pretended to sneeze. He's like, blah, 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 and like kept, and then the bouncer came over and was like, you just throw up? And he's like, how dare you insinuate that I have anything but class here? And the bouncer's like, yeah, you guys gotta get out of here. That's disgusting.
Oh my god.
It's a good movie.
Well, on the same note of that story, there used to be. I don't know how familiar you are with the Northwest Territories. No, that's a lie. I know you're not, because Southern Canada does not give a fuck. But there's a little town just south of Yellowknife called Fort Smith. Like 6 hours, where actually Leslie Nielsen was born. Trivia, but they used to do. There used to be a little music festival there called the Friendship Festival.
Okay.
And it was all of these bands that were just like local, like, and like all of my boys in Yellowknife were amazing, like amazing musicians at an obnoxiously young age. Okay. Like in grade 8, had an amazing ska band called Huss Dog and Friends. If you guys have time, you should check it out. They're great.
Huss Dog and
Friends. And keep in mind when you listen to it, they're in grade 8. It's stunningly good. Which is part of it's the thing that bothers me the most about MySpace being gone. Just like, I lost every high school band I ever was either in or listened to, you know?
Yeah.
That's sad.
So they were, and I was never a great musician, even before, like, even when I had a full face and 2 eyes. Like, I still, couldn't play guitar to save my life. Like I just didn't have it. Or I couldn't do any of it. But I was a really good groupie. And as far as that, I mean, I don't know if you can hear it, but Ryan, as far as a collaborative, Ryan Williams, legendary Vancouver comedian, is here helping me with renos.
Oh. Ryan.
Kevvy and Alexi, say hi. Sorry, Ryan's playing Turtles in Time. It's a.
Oh, I'm very familiar with that arcade game. That's really cool. You have that.
Oh yeah, it's super sweet.
Hi, Kevvy.
Oh, he says hi. Say hi to Alexi, you monster.
Hi, Alexi.
There you go. He said hi, Alexi.
All right, Alex. Well, thanks for coming on, man. Anything else you want people to know about your new spot?
We're at 151 East 8th Avenue on Main and hey. He's in my circle, so the social distancing is fine. But yeah, 151 East 8th Avenue. We're Wednesday to Saturday, 11 to 7-ish. We're trying to extend those hours. Come try out some sandwiches, come have some beer, but then also within that, when we can, like when quarantine starts to lift and we finish these renos, we're going to be opening up on our website our events calendar. Okay. And we want to encourage anybody and everybody of any, like, I don't care how amateur you think you are, submit and we'll let you take over a night. Cool. Just come perform. You have a space.
That's awesome.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm so excited to be a regular.
Yeah, we got to go, Alexi.
Yeah.
And then to the bands that I have been playing, we are setting up our business Spotify, so we're like, I'm not paying you an exposure.
Okay, Alex, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Thanks, folks. You guys are great.
We'll see you soon. Bye, Ryan.
Bye, Ryan.
Thank you for listening to the Comedy Here Often podcast. I've been your host, Kevvy. Thank you to Alex Sparling for coming out. Make sure to check out his play, Side Hustle Sandwiches. Follow him on social media. Follow us at Comedy Here Often on social media. Listen to us on Spotify. Subscribe to us on YouTube. We'll see you next week.